Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl, Beach Sparrow, BTR 2020. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Shooting the Facts. I wanted to talk about Charles Barkley and his comment in reference to the Breonna Taylor trial or the Breonna Taylor case. And this article is taken from CNN and it reads basketball legend and NBA analyst Charles Barkley is taking some heat following his comments on the grand jury's decision on charges in the shooting death of Breonna Taylor. He says, I don't think this one was like George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery or things like that. He said this on Thursday during the TNT pregame coverage of the Western Conference Finals. TNT and CNN are both owned by parent company Warner Media. On March 13th, as we know, Breonna Taylor was killed when police in Louisville, Kentucky broke open her front door while serving a search warrant and fatally shot the 26-year-old EMT in her home. The killing was led or has led to a nationwide protest, to many protests, and calls for racial justice and police reform. Okay, Barkley is hesitant to compare Taylor's death to other cases leading to the death of unarmed African Americans. Arbery, as we know, was fatally shot on February 23rd after he was chased by two white men, a father and son, the McMichaels, while he was jogging in Brunswick, Georgia. George Floyd died in Minneapolis after an officer pinned him to the ground by kneeling on his neck for several minutes on May 25th. Both fatal encounters were seen on video. He says he feels sad for the young lady. He felt sad that she lost her life, but he is worried to lump all these situations together. Earlier this week, one officer involved in the incident leading to Taylor's death was indicted on 3 charges of first-degree wanton endangerment for allegedly firing blindly into an apartment. So he wasn't charged with killing Breonna. He was charged with endangering others because some of the bullets went into other people's apartments. Crazy to me. 2 of the officers who shot at Taylor, one whom was shot and wounded, were not indicted. In the case, as the Kentucky Attorney General said, the men were justified in shooting out of self-defense because Taylor's boyfriend had fired first. As such, no charges were directly connected to Taylor's death, as I mentioned. I just wanted to know if you were a licensed gun owner and someone was busting down your door without saying who they were, wouldn't you defend your home? Would not you defend your home? So Barkley goes on to say, we do have to take into account that her boyfriend shot at the cops and shot a cop. And we know the Black Lives Matter protests continue nationwide following the outcome in Kentucky. Joining in and agreeing with Barkley was Shaquille O'Neal, a colleague and fellow NBA Hall of Famer. He said, I have to agree with Charles. This one is sort of lumped in. Said O'Neal during the broadcast, and we know O'Neal is, I think, a certified sheriff, or he's in the police department somehow, or maybe a sheriff. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. So he says, everyone was asking for murder charges. When you talk about murder, you have to show intent. A homicide occurred, and we're sorry a homicide occurred. When you have a warrant signed by the judge, you are doing your job, and I would imagine that you would fire back. Well, maybe if they had identified themselves, Kenneth Walker, who was Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, maybe he wouldn't have to fire. He wouldn't have to shoot. If they had made themselves known, who they were instead of breaking down the hinges. I read an article that said they were just tuning in to go to bed. Just tuning in to go to bed. It was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Knock on the door, make yourself known who you are instead of busting down the door thinking that you're about to arrest somebody. The article goes on to say, Barkley and O'Neal's take differ vastly from others in the NBA community and prompted criticism on social media. In a video on TikTok, former NBA player Stephen Jackson, who was very close friends with George Floyd, said Barkley was insensitive and heartless. What about Shaquille? What about Shaquille? Was he heartless also? What about Shaquille? Shalom. Good morning to you, DJ Pete. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Hoping everything is fine over there in Greece. Thank you for tuning in. Talking about Charles Barkley and his comment in reference to the BreonnaTaylor case. Lakers superstar. The article goes on to say, Lakers superstar LeBron James has been consistent in his outrage and calls for justice, a stance he reiterated publicly following his team's win on Thursday. He says, we want justice no matter how long it takes, during a post-game interview on TNT. We're here playing this game and it's very challenging on us. It's very difficult, but at the same time, our hearts are with the family. We hope for better days and to spread love and not hate, James added. Barkley and O'Neal, along with colleagues Ernie Johnson and Kenny Smith, are next scheduled to be, well, they was next scheduled to be on the air last night as the Los Angeles Lakers took on the Denver Nuggets. So I'm kind of conflicted about this. I just don't understand why Kenneth Walker is being dubbed a criminal or something because he was defending his home. He was a licensed carrier, a licensed gun carrier. Somebody broke through his door without announcing themselves, and so he decided to defend his home. And because of that, really no one is being charged in the killing death of BreonnaTaylor. That drives me crazy right there. And since we're on the topic of the NBA, came across this article. I wasn't going to do it with this live stream. I was going to do it separately. Shalom, Brother K. Judah. Thanks for joining me. I won't be long, though. I won't be long. Just wanted to get these 2 articles out of the way. Let me find this picture of DelontaWest. New photos have come up. And this, according to this article from TMZ, people are trying to help him, but apparently, y'all know how that is. Y'all know exactly how that is. This is DelontaWest over in Dallas somewhere. Let me pull up my article right quick. Waiting for these things to load. We're talking about former NBA player DelontaWest. Photos of him begging for money. For those of y'all who do not know who DelontaWest is, I believe he's from Baltimore. He was the 24th overall pick in the 2004 NBA draft. He played 8 NBA seasons for the Supersonics, the Mavs, the Cavs, and the Celtics, where he played for Doc Rivers. Now, speaking of Doc Rivers, the NBA and Doc Rivers, along with Jameer Nelson and the Players Association, have actively been trying to get DelontaWest some help. This after a new photo surfaced showing the former star hooper in rough shape. The viral photo, reportedly taken recently in Dallas, appears to show the 37-year-old former guard begging for money on the street. The question has been, why hasn't former players and coaches stepped in to help West? As it turns out, TMZ Sports has learned that they have been trying for months. Multiple sources say that the league, the NBPA, and Delonta's former coach Doc Rivers and former St. Joe College teammate Jameer Nelson and others have attempted to get DelontaWest much needed assistance. West's struggles have been well documented, and this isn't the first time photo or video has surfaced that has caused serious concern about West's well-being. Back in 2016, a fan spotted West outside of a Jack in the Box and asked him if he was the former NBA star, and West responded, "I'm not about that life anymore." This is kind of sad. It's kind of sad. I believe this brother is from DC. I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, I remember my daughter saying that DelontaWest is from Northwest DC, that they went to school with a couple of his brothers, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. He's either from DC or Baltimore, something like that. And as we know, Baltimore is only 45 minutes away from DC. There are more pictures here. I do not own the rights to these pictures, the copyrighted rights to these pictures. These pictures are taken from TMZ. There's a picture of DelontaWest when he was playing with the Cavaliers. And then this is the picture where the young man asked him, was he DelontaWest? And he said, "I'm not about that life anymore." And as you can see, he looked pretty much stoned. This was taken in 2016. If I can get the picture right, there we go. That is DelontaWest, former NBA superstar. It's kind of tough to see, kind of tough to watch. Kind of tough to watch. So most recently, back to this article, most recently in January of 2020, Delonta was captured on video involved in a street fight. The bottom line is that there are people who are desperate to help Delonta, but he's got to be willing to accept it. So tell me, what do y'all think about DelontaWest and the NBA offering to help? You know, a lot of people like that won't receive help, but it's not like they didn't try. And also, the story of Charles Barkley, who says that he cannot lump the Breonna Taylor case in the same category as Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd. It's your girl, B. Sparrow, Gun Sweet Radio. Thank y'all for listening to another episode of Shooting the Fat, but your girl got this done. Holla!